What's up, buddy, man? It's Bronco at the front coming at you with another reaction video. We got some more history up in the building. Watch Mojo, top 30 moments that made the world stand still. Let me give my predictions. So, moments that made the world stand still. Obviously, the nuke on Hiroshima. You know, the whole World War II in general, the Holocaust. Depending on how far they go back, Titanic should be on here. The moon landing, Martin Luther King assassination. But like I say, it's really like United States centric things. I'm pretty sure my football boys, y'all probably gonna say some football moments, but I doubt some football moments be on this list. JFK assassination. Like I say, United States centric brain, central way of thinking right here. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can think. Maybe like when a couple of like celebrities died or something. I don't know. Let's see what go down.
May 8th,
when Kobe died, for sure.
Is declared
for sure.
May 8th, 1945 is declared Victory in Europe Day.
Okay.
Spontaneous celebrations erupt throughout the world.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for shocking events in modern history that made just about everyone stop and take notice.
What a moment. Man on the way to the moon.
Yup. Man on the moon.
Number 30, the Israel-Hamas war.
Okay, so it's not U.S.-centric, so never mind. I take that comment back. This is around the world. Israel, Hamas, and this is like, you already know, this is real divided. This is divide everything. You either on Team Israel or you're on Team Palestine, and whatever side you choose, you're going to lose a whole bunch of friends. That's why I always stay out of politics and all of that shit, bro, because right.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been ongoing for 3/4 of a century, with the 2023 Israel-Hamas war adding another tragic and bloody chapter.
There are so many families across Israel asking, where was the army? Why didn't they stop this? What do you tell those families?
I tell them it's the responsibility of the army. It's the responsibility of the army for the intelligence. It's our responsibility to guard the people of Israel. We failed on Saturday. This is our responsibility. But now we're fighting.
This latest conflict began when the Palestinian political and militant group Hamas launched a surprise attack on the 7th of October 2023.
What I will say is I remember when this God damn it. I remember when this conflict first happened. Like everybody, a lot of people was on Israel's side. Like there was the general census, because you know United States is Israel's like ally. So the whole census around the United States and the media was Israel's side. You know, pray for Israel, all of that. But then on TikTok, creators was like, bro, no, Palestine is the real victims in this. Israel doing this and they did that and all of this and all of that, and it gets real convoluted. And like I say, I don't take the time to read about this stuff.
Killing around 1,200 Israelis, mostly civilians. They also took 250 Israelis hostage, demanding the release of Palestinian prisoners.
This is a massive terrorist attack that is gunning down Israeli civilians in their towns, in their homes, and as we've seen so graphically, literally dragging people across the border with Gaza.
In retaliation, Israel dropped 6,000 bombs on Gaza over 6 days.
Damn, now that's what I'm talking about. When they dropped the little 6,000 bombs, that's when everybody was saying, bro, Palestine, you're dropping bombs on damn citizens. And they said in 6 days, that's 1,000 bombs a day.
Ground invasion. Over 20,000 Palestinians have been killed, mostly civilians, including more than 8,000 children. There have been widespread global protests, and Gaza has collapsed into a humanitarian crisis. Number 29, the Tiananmen Square protests and massacre. In China, references to this event, also known as the June 4th incident, are heavily censored. In the spring of 1989, student-led demonstrations were held in Tiananmen Square, Beijing, calling for democracy and greater civil liberties.
They show, hold on, don't they got I don't want to be wrong. Ain't China like totalitarian? Or do they got, I know it's called the People's Republic of China now, right? So they might have a democracy now.
Turn Tiananmen Square, the country's symbol of sovereignty, into a hub of dissent and protest. They want to crack down on corruption. They want freedom of press. They call for an awakening to reform and progress in China.
The protests spread to hundreds of cities, with workers joining them, angry over inflation, corruption, and the erosion of welfare. Declaring martial law, the government sent soldiers and tanks into the square. The death toll is disputed, ranging...
Oh, is this where that little clip of the little person stood in front of the tank with the little flags and stood in front of that hole? Oh, is this before that? I think they said this was 1989. Something like that. Yeah, 1989. It could have been like in the 60s. I think that's like Vietnam or something.
Ranging from hundreds to thousands.
Estimates run from several hundred to over 10,000. Some argue that by shooting at civilians, the Communist Party lost its legitimacy to rule, and with it, an opportunity for political modernization.
This is that!
At least outside of China.
This the moment that I was talking about. This probably the moment that won them that whole little protest right here, boy. This picture went viral before the internet viral.
The photo of an unknown man facing off against a column of tanks has become an enduring symbol of the event. Today, public displays of mourning for the victims are banned, although commemorations still sometimes reportedly occur in secret.
Oh, so they lost.
Number 28, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
I remember the oil spill. If y'all remember the oil spill, you too damn young. Click the fuck off of this video. Actually, don't click on. Stay on so you can learn you some history. Man, this oil spill right here, it was everywhere. The animals, the pelicans had all oil all on their back. I think it was like BP. Was that the little oil rig thing that caught on fire? And then everything on TV, every commercial was clean the water, clean the seas, clean all of this, donate to this charity, donate to that charity, to clean everything up, clean the sea up, to get this oil the hell up out of here, boy. It was bad.
Spill. Also known as the BP oil spill, this unfortunately wasn't the first industrial disaster to devastate our marine habitats, but it remains the largest on record.
Oh, yeah.
It began on April 20th. Due to an explosion on the Deepwater Horizon oil platform.
And there's 30,000 of these workers every day that go in the Gulf to do this work, and they're well trained, but and they work to try to not have these accidents. But on this day, something went wrong, and now we're working with BP and we're Transocean to try to find the cause.
The fallout from this disaster resulted in 205 million gallons of oil discharged into the Gulf of Mexico.
205 million, and imagine being the one person whose fault it was. What if it was the fault of one person? What if they was like smoking on an oil rig and then accidentally dropped it or something? It blew! Explosion just like that, and now you got all this damn oil in the thing.
And effects were still being felt years after the initial disaster.
Birds are still on these islands coming in here feeding. So you can just imagine the contamination that takes place within the wildlife.
In fact, reports from 2012 stated that the oil refineries from Deepwater Horizon were still leaking, despite an official statement from 2010 that claimed the well was sealed. Number 27,
Oklahoma
the
City.
Oklahoma
I heard of
City
this.
bombing. This domestic terrorist attack shocked the nation. On April 19, 1995, anti-government white supremacists Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols detonated a truck full of explosives in front of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City.
In a blink, the sky dark with a plume of deep black smoke.
There was a tremendous explosion, a massive explosion at the federal building in the center of the city, the A.P. Murrah building.
We have a large column of smoke to be.
Wow!
Check on that.
The explosion killed 168 people and injured 680 others. The Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building was left in ruins, and the force of the blast damaged cars and buildings over a dozen blocks away. McVeigh and Nichols had sought to spark a revolution.
McVeigh became disaffected, latching onto a growing pro-gun
So he used to be in the army, huh? It always be them army with PTSD, boy. You gotta check them motherfuckers, bro. Some of them dudes don't be right. I seen American Sniper. He got killed. And that shows you, if y'all ain't seen that movie, go watch it. It shows you the process of like him getting PTSD through the army. And then when he came home, he didn't really feel normal anymore. His new normal was being at war and shooting people and stuff. So he was like, bro, I gotta go back out, bro. That's the only time I feel normal, when I'm with my boys. They look at me as a hero. When I'm at home, I'm just a regular old bloke, man. Just a regular old bloke, my wife and kid, it ain't enough. I still gotta have some type of, And when he finally started to turn his life around, he got killed by another PTSD officer in Lancaster, Texas. And guess what? That's where I'm from. They hit close to home right there, bro.
Became disaffected, latching onto a growing pro-gun, anti-government ideology that gained traction in the 1990s in the aftermath of federal law enforcement actions at Ruby Ridge, Idaho.
To this day, it is the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in United States
history.
history.
How did they end from Idaho to
Number
Oklahoma?
26, the Iran hostage crisis.
Okay, never heard of this.
In 1953, British and American intelligence agencies orchestrated a coup against democratically elected Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh.
Whoa, run it back.
Crisis. In 1953, British and American intelligence agencies orchestrated a coup against democratically elected Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh.
Why? They say he was democratically elected. So if the people elected that man, then what's the problem? He must have been a real evil dude.
Who had nationalized Iran's oil industry with U.S. support.
There it is. Oil. Ha! It's that oil. That oil gonna do it every time. Like I say, now to say it's her aura, boy, you heard a damn eagle screeching in the background. Hey.
Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi became Iran's true ruler.
The Shah's power is maintained by a vicious secret police and the 5th largest military on Earth, equipped with American weapons.
Fast forward to the Islamic Revolution of 1979, and the Shah, seen as a Western puppet, was overthrown, replaced with the theocratic government of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. In the middle of this revolution, militarized college students took 52 Americans hostage in the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. For over a year, President Jimmy Carter sought to negotiate their return, but only after 444 days were they released, after a pledge from the U.S. not to intervene in Iranian affairs.
It was a long and harrowing ordeal for the hostages, their families, and indeed the entire nation. And it was an ordeal that plagued the presidency of Jimmy Carter, an ordeal whose final resolution eluded his presidency by less than an hour.
Number 20.
Damn, so they were successful in their little hostages. Cause what did she say? That America did what?
Sought to negotiate their return, but only after 444 days were they released, after a pledge from the U.S. not to intervene in Iranian affairs.
Damn, so they whooped their ass in that exchange. They held these hostages. They say, bro, we not letting these hostages go until y'all agree to get the hell out of our business. Jimmy Carter say, bro, all right, bro. Y'all got it, bit, bro. We ain't gonna intervene no more. You feel me? And them hostages, I need to look at some interviews of those hostages. I wonder how they treated them down there. They was there for a whole year, and they was college students just trying to study abroad. Why the hell would you want to study abroad in Iran anyway?
It was a long and harrowing ordeal for the hostages.
Oh, let me.
January 2015.
All right, Paris
France
attacks.
was left reeling from an Islamic.
We remember Pray for Paris. I remember that in 2015. If you especially don't remember the Paris attacks, you need to get the hell up out of here. Now, I was in high school. The only thing I know for these attacks was Pray for Paris, and everybody was changing their little Facebook photos to the little French flag. You know, I don't know exactly what happened. So I'm finna learn something. All I knew is we supposed to pray for them boys.
Terrorist attack on satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, in which 12 staff were killed.
The attack on Charlie Hebdo last week was Al-Qaeda's most high-profile operation in years. And today, they bragged about it. In a video, Al-Qaeda in Yemen claimed it targeted the magazine for insulting the Prophet Muhammad.
Several other smaller attacks occurred throughout the year.
That's crazy.
Insulting the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, I remember this. So they did that because they assaulted the Prophet Muhammad. I don't know exactly what happened. That's why I put quotations. This is just their alibi. Yeah, I remember during the Olympics when they did all of that, the Christianity controversy and stuff like that. I put on Twitter. I said, y'all think they'll play Islam like that? And apparently it looks like they did, quote unquote. Like I say, this is his words, not mine. But from the outside looking in, it's over some religious, like, you know, things. And unfortunately, them Islam, they do not play about Islam at all, bro. Like, god damn. So what did they do?
Several other smaller attacks occurred throughout the year. On November 13th, these culminated in by far the deadliest. That night, in a series of coordinated attacks, terrorists detonated explosive vests and opened fire in streets and public venues in Paris.
Only minutes later, gunmen opened fire on several bars and restaurants in Eastern Paris.
Mass shooting people.
3 gunmen stormed a concert at the Bataclan Theater, killing 90 people. In all, 130 lives were taken. The attacks sent shockwaves not only through France, but also reverberated around the world.
I didn't know it was that
Number
bad.
24.
I didn't know it was that bad, bro. 190 people? So what the fuck France do in retaliation? Did they declare war on terrorism like we did? I don't know, man. 24. John Lennon is assassinated. He did get assassinated. Why? And it's not like it's the 60s. It's the damn 1980s. This is after the little Vietnam era when they was killing everybody and stuff.
John Lennon is assassinated. It's safe to say that John Lennon is one of the most influential singer-songwriters of all time. Even after leaving the Beatles in 1969, he enjoyed enormous popularity and success. He also became well known for his activism.
I was just finna say, when I say talk too much, I'm not saying that he was talking too much, like, I'm saying that, like, he was saying stuff that was angering the higher ups, if you get what I'm saying.
There's not a more positive way of demonstrating in favor of peace than sitting in bed with three square meals a day.
He was a revolutionary.
However, on December 8th, 1980, obsessive fan Mark David Chapman fatally shot him outside the Dakota Apartments in New York City. When news broke on ABC's Monday Night Football, fans were shocked and horrified.
I seen this
For
clip
many,
on YouTube.
The world seemed to stop turning.
An unspeakable tragedy confirmed to us by ABC News in New York City. John Lennon, outside of his apartment building on the west side of New York City, the most famous perhaps of all of the Beatles, shot twice in the back.
Around the globe.
In the back, too. He didn't even have the nerve to pull up on him in front of his face to let him know why he doing what he doing or what he doing. He shot him in the back? Damn coward, bro. And you a fan, bro. Fandom back then was super. You think fandom is crazy now? Back then, before they had social media, bro, it was even wilder because they reviewed these damn celebrities as idols like y'all do them footballers.
Fans were united in mourning for a man whose music meant so much to so many. Number 23.
Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, we remember Katrina, man. It's kind of a link to the story. So the Saints and the Cowboys played this week. New Orleans, they got that dub. And the reason a lot of people don't know that New Orleans and Dallas is a rivalry, because that the Saints and the Cowboys is a big rivalry, because when Katrina happened, I was in elementary school. So after Katrina, the people from New Orleans, they migrated to like Houston, Dallas, all of these Texas cities, mainly Houston and Dallas. And so I remember that next year at school, we got a whole bunch of kids from New Orleans and Louisiana, and they came here with all that, who that with that shit, with them damn Saints. And then the Saints won the Super Bowl that next year, that rigged ass Super Bowl. They just happened to win the Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina happened. They won the Super Bowl, and now everybody, who that? They coming to school with their Mardi Gras beads on. They get out of school to go to a damn parade. I say, bro, they get out of school to go to a parade. Man, what type of shit is this? I want to go to the parade. So ever since then, it's been a big ass rivalry between them Cowboys and them Saints. And unfortunately, them Saints ended up whooping up on them Cowboys yesterday, man. Embarrassingly in our own city. But yeah, Hurricane Katrina was for sure devastating. One of the most deadly, probably the most, actually it is the most deadly hurricane in United States history. Y'all know the controversy between it. The army didn't do enough, like George Bush and the government didn't do enough to save the people. The water levee ended up breaking. Whole bunch of poor black people died. Y'all seen that little video of Kanye West? George Bush doesn't care about black people. Y'all seen
This Category 5 hurricane was devastating not only due to its intensity, but also a failure of flood control systems and slow government response. On August 29, 2005, the hurricane made landfall in Louisiana.
It was quickly predicted to become a catastrophic event.
My fear is absolutely that the models are correct.
It is gaining strength again. It is now stalking the Gulf Coast.
It rapidly doubled in size and intensified into a Category 5 hurricane.
The storm surge breached New Orleans levees and flooded the city. Tens of thousands of residents had not evacuated. It didn't matter if you were from there. TV and radio audiences could feel the distress and panic in the air. Critics argued that race and class were factors in the slow local and federal response.
This story ends up being the roadmap, the instruction booklet, the how-to story of dealing with disaster. It also tells you what not to do.
The hurricane left an estimated 1,392 dead in its wake, making it one of the deadliest in U.S. history. Number 22, the Fall of Saigon.
I never heard of this.
Seeing photos of the Fall of Saigon, you might be reminded of the more recent 2021 Kabul airlift in Afghanistan. Both involved scenes of panic and powerful images.
Oh, they panicking. My bad for laughing. They panicking. I thought, shit, they let the buddy right here look happy as hell to me. That's why I had chuckled. I say, well, they happy as hell following this damn plane. They better get the hell out of the way. They go get ran over or go get killed falling into the propellers or something. But they say, desperate to escape, Taliban takes over Afghanistan. So this plane is like getting the hell up out of there.
2021 Kabul airlift in Afghanistan. Both involved scenes of panic and powerful images of last-minute evacuation.
The hardest part was the waiting. Many people said it was unnerving to be waiting for a ride to safety and to be hearing fighting all around you.
On April 30th, 1975, North Vietnamese forces captured Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, marking the end of the deadly and divisive Vietnam War. The iconic photo of a helicopter evacuation from the roof of the U.S. Embassy symbolized the desperate and dramatic nature of the fall.
So this was the end. I never actually heard like what event specifically caused the end of the Vietnam War, and it was this.
Yes, we've chosen to leave, but we've chosen to leave because it's no longer defendable with the resources that we have chosen to commit, and the limits that we have put on our involvement in South Vietnam.
In the aftermath, Vietnam was reunified under communist rule, and the U.S. began to significantly rethink its foreign policies.
Yeah, we lost that
Number
war
21,
for sure.
the
Jonestown Massacre. Oh, I learned about this on TikTok, bro. So I'm going to let the video describe it, but people really used to look at people like, it's crazy that one man can get this much power to convince this many people. Bro, this is an evil man. That's all I'm going to say.
Founded in Indiana in 1954, Jim Jones's People's Temple preached a message nominally based on Christianity, socialism, and civil rights.
His driving force was less the Bible than social justice. He was very much ahead of the current climate in terms of race relations and his desire to create an integrated society.
But something very dark lurked under the surface. In the 1970s, Jones fled accusations of abuse and fake miracles to a remote settlement in Guyana.
He made his own city. What they call it, Jonestown? That man fled, made his own city, and then, well, I ain't gonna spoil it for y'all who ain't seen it, but, bro, just watch.
The charismatic leader became paranoid and obsessed with domination over his faithful. Further reports of abuse led to a fact-finding mission from U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan. He never returned, murdered by Jones's Red Brigade. Jones ordered his over 900 followers, a third of the minors, to take their own lives by drinking Flavor Aid laced with cyanide.
This time, Jones served a punch spiked with cyanide.
Not only he didn't tell his people, he ain't tell them. I ain't gonna say I forgot, but he had a speech. I literally listened to the actual audio. You can listen to the actual audio of him telling his people like what they finna do. They was like, just drink it and you'll something. And the kids were like telling him, I don't feel so good. And then he was all like, well, it's all gonna be over in a second. Like, bro, you could hear the cries in the background just getting quieter and quieter as they fucking like, bro.
900 died.
The tragedy left the public in shock and horror, and is the origin of the expression drinking the Kool-Aid. Number 20, Nelson Mandela released. In 1964, South African revolutionary leader Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment. 4 years, he had fought against apartheid, the system of racial segregation that privileged the country's white population and disenfranchised people of color. Even from prison, he remained committed to this cause, communicating with political leaders and gaining worldwide attention.
The fact that you could sit alone and think gave us a wonderful opportunity to change ourselves, your behavior.
Oh, yeah.
As civil unrest grew, Mandela was finally released from prison in 1990, 27 years after he was sentenced. His release was broadcast around the world.
That boy was in jail for 27 years.
Have made it possible.
God damn.
To be here today.
In a historic speech, he affirmed his commitment to peace, but also to the ongoing struggle against the violence of apartheid. Just 4 years later, he would go on to become the country's first black president.
Hey!
Number 19, the 2021
Capitol attack. Oh, man, I still, to this day, cannot believe them folk attacked the Capitol. The United States Capitol. This is like something out of a movie. Them folks was like, oh, Trump not getting elected president? That's a bet. Let's storm the Capitol. Like, what the fuck? It's like they was trying to show black people how the damn protesting. You know, like when black people be protesting, they be like burning down buildings and shit and burning down stores. Then white folks say, we finna show y'all how to protest. They stormed the United States Capitol.
Capitol attack. On January 6th, 2021,
I still can't believe this
scenes
shit
of
happened,
carnage in the U.S. Capitol, Washington, D.C., shocked Americans watching the riot unfold on TV. At a rally before the attack, outgoing President Donald Trump told supporters the election had been stolen and urged them to march to the Capitol building. Debunked by courts, state audits, and federal agencies, this claim was part of a campaign to overturn the election results and reinstall Trump as president.
This was a fraudulent election.
Hey man,
but we
Trump,
can't play into the hands of these people.
Like they say, this upcoming election is the most important. I just can't wait till this whole MAGA saga is over, bro. Like I say, back in the day when they used to show the presidential elections, it used to be respectful. Boys used to say, oh, I agree with President Nixon, or I agree with President Obama. I agree with runner-up John McCain, you know. But now it's just they just be hurling insults, and it's like a damn reality TV show instead of folk being professional.
Within hours, 2,000 angry Trump supporters broke into the Capitol building, assaulting police and searching for lawmakers gathered to formalize Joe Biden's victory. Among them were members of far-right militias and neo-fascist
MAGA
groups,
stuff is a cult
some
for
of them
real.
armed. The insurrection failed, with lawmakers racing to safety before the mob reached them. Number 18. The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster.
That hell blew up.
There were a lot of eyes on Cape Canaveral, Florida when Challenger finally launched on January 28, 1986. Due to technical issues and bad weather, the flight had been delayed multiple times.
Liftoff of the 25th
and it was
Space
delayed
Shuttle
for a
mission, and
reason.
it has cleared the tower.
On launch day, CNN broadcast live nationwide coverage. NASA had organized for children to watch from schools to promote their Teacher in Space project, which had added teacher-turned-astronaut Krista McAuliffe to the crew. But viewers' hopes turned to horror as the shuttle disintegrated during its ascent, claiming the lives of all 7 crew members.
We have a report from the flight dynamics officer that the vehicle has exploded.
The Challenger's final flight had lasted
Rest in
only
peace,
73
everybody,
seconds.
How many seconds?
Challenger's final flight had lasted only 73 seconds.
Only 73.
Number 17, the 1972 Summer Olympics.
What's so special?
The 1972 Olympic Games in West Germany were the first to be held in the region since Nazi dictator Adolf Hitler used the event as a platform for propaganda in 1936. Sadly, the September Games would become even more infamous, etching out their own bleak mark in history. After infiltrating the Olympic Village, 8 armed men from the Palestinian terrorist group Black September killed 2 Israeli Olympic team members.
Them boys been beefed up since the beginning of time. Israel and Palestine over the Gaza Strip, them boys go forever be beefed up, man. Damn!
And took 9 more hostage.
The terrorists want hundreds of Palestinian prisoners released from Israeli jails. Nothing else will do.
After 2 grueling days of negotiation, the hostage crisis was brought to a violent end. The rescue attempt was botched, claiming the lives of all hostages and a police officer. Number 16, the O.J. Simpson
Now, this
murder
is before my time, but we all heard of the O.J. Simpson thing and the jokes that came from it. Family Guy be mocking it, White Chicks, like all the movies. The O.J. Simpson just recently died too.
Trial verdict. It was the trial of the century, and the verdict left the public reeling.
Remember these words. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
After Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman were stabbed to death in June 1994, Brown's ex-husband, former footballer and actor O.J. Simpson, became the prime suspect. Before her death, Brown had said that Simpson had abused and threatened to kill her.
And apparently he was like the #1 best running back in the league. Like he is an all-time great running back turned murderer for all my football boys or like soccer boys who watch my videos. O.J. Simpson getting accused of murder right here. It's like, what's a player like Zlatan or something? Zlatan in his little peak, in his prime or whatever, getting accused for murder. And then not only did OJ get away with it, boy, the general consensus is that he did it, but he got away with it. He trolled and trolled and trolled all the way up into his depth about the damn situation.
And threatened to kill her. Every aspect of the case was highly publicized. From the car chase that saw him arrested to the lengthy trial, the coverage hooked viewers, and everyone had an opinion.
It turned into black versus
October
white.
3rd, 1995, the jury returned a verdict of not guilty.
Yeah, this whole situation turned into black versus white. Black people was going for OJ, white people was going for the other people. And the reason it was split up, and the reason why black people didn't necessarily care that he was guilty, was because of like all the things that happened in the past, like the Rodney King beating, and like when that Korean woman shot that little black girl in the back of the head and all of that, and she ended up getting off of it, I believe. So like people just going for OJ, bro.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder.
For some, it was a vindication. To others, a travesty of justice, in which a celebrity had gotten away with murder. Number 15, the death of
Osama bin Laden. I already know everybody finna bring up the John Cena video. How was John Cena the first person to find? Bro, he was not the first person to find out. I was there. I was there in 2009 or whatever year it was he got killed. Bro, it was all national news. I used to go to Yahoo to watch current events. I typed in Yahoo, that bitch said, Osama bin Laden has been killed. This was before Raw, like 4 hours before Raw even aired. John Cena was not the first person to declare it to America, bro. It was already news. Everybody knew that he died, man. Stop the revisionist history.
Bin Laden. In the wake of the September 11th attacks in 2001, U.S. President George W. Bush announced the beginning of a war on terror. The first stage of this war was the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan to hunt down Osama bin Laden and his terrorist group, Al-Qaeda.
In this conflict, America faces an enemy who has no regard for conventions of war or rules of morality.
This manhunt continued for almost a decade as bin Laden evaded capture. However, in 2011, the CIA tracked him down to a compound in Pakistan. In a helicopter raid codenamed Operation Neptune Spear on May 2nd, bin Laden was killed.
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
For those who vividly recalled the events of 9/11, President Obama's announcement that the Al-Qaeda leader was dead was a landmark event.
So, USA chance was deep, boy.
Number 14.
And that was the last time the United States was unified about some shit, when Osama bin Laden died. That was the last time.
Number 14.
Russia's
invasion of Ukraine.
And it's crazy. I remember when that happened. It was all over the news. I was like, damn, it's finally be like, when are the last time two big countries, like, not two big countries, but two non-Middle Eastern type countries fought each other? When Russia invaded Ukraine, I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Is the war finna happen? Like, you know, it's a World War II shit where we saw footage of all this stuff. I'm like, is that finna happen again, where we see footage, boys on the battlefield, like, going at it and going at it? I thought it was gonna be on the news every single day, this happening, that happening. But people don't really talk about it as much over here in America. I'm saying.
For months, the buildup of Russian forces along Ukraine's border had the world on edge. Would Russian President Vladimir Putin really give the order to invade? In 2014, Ukrainians had revolted against a pro-Moscow government, sick of corruption and abuse of power. Their success led Russia to annex Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. In February 2022, Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Hey, that boy Trump say this wouldn't have happened. He say this wouldn't have happened if I was in office. He say he don't respect Joe Biden because, you know, Trump and Putin was friends. Shit, Trump friends with everybody. He friends with all the damn dictators.
Furious at the country's aspiration to join NATO,
I consider it necessary to immediately recognize the independence and sovereignty of the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics.
In response, the international community hit Russia with severe economic sanctions. Around the world, everyone's eyes have been glued to their screens,
they couldn't even be in the
watching
World
the
Cup.
outgunned Ukrainians hold off the invading forces.
If we don't stand up, we don't have a country to defend.
Number 13.
Martin Luther King, I have a dream, like I say. Martin Luther King, for sure. He like the president of black people. He the president of the black Americans. For sure, the most important black American in United States history. For sure, top 3 most important person in United States of America history. I don't give a damn what y'all say. Martin Luther King is for sure top 3. Put that man on a dollar bill. Not the $1 specifically, but put that man on some money, on whatever money. Come on now, even the government had him killed, bro.
I have a dream speech. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech may be remembered for just 4 words, but they are arguably among the most powerful
in Washington,
ever
D.C.
spoken.
Whole hood is out watching that.
that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the judge of their character.
The Baptist minister had chosen his profession because he felt sermons were, quote, a respectful force for ideas.
He's the reason why, well, I ain't gonna say like, he's the reason why everybody's just so integrated now in America and how racism has died down compared to that era and how Jim Crow went away. Martin Luther King was the spearhead of that, man.
Even social protest. King oversaw the Montgomery bus boycott and became the leader of civil rights organization SCLC. In August 1963, he helped organize a march of 250,000 people to Washington, D.C. to peacefully protest for equal rights for African Americans.
With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
On the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, he told listeners that he dreamt of a world free of racism and oppression. His impassioned words were heard far and wide, becoming a defining moment in the civil rights movement. They remain iconic today.
Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the herbaceous slopes of California.
Number 12. The death of Diana,
Princess Diana.
Princess of Wales.
See, I wasn't there when this happened, but I for sure heard about it, the car accident. Word on the street. It's a little foul play going on. It's just what I heard. Don't attack the
Although
messenger.
she was no longer Her Royal Highness in 1997, having lost her title after her divorce from Prince Charles, Diana remained a popular figure for the Commonwealth and beyond.
We interrupt this film to tell you we are getting reports that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been badly injured in a car crash in France.
Her sudden death in a car accident as she fled paparazzi occurred in the early hours of August 31st, while the British public were still asleep. Diana's driver, who had been intoxicated at the time, and Egyptian producer Dodi Fayed also died in the crash. When people in the UK woke and learned the news, the country was left shocked and in mourning. The death of the People's Princess was felt around the world.
Yeah, man, it's crazy right there. The show had to be the most popular motherfucker in the UK when she died.
Number 11, the
fall of the Berlin Wall.
After World War II, the Allies split Germany into East and West. The Soviet Union controlled the East, while the US, UK, and France controlled the West. Eventually, East and West became separate republics, but the flight of East Germans to the more affluent West...
Bro, they really built a wall between it to separate the whole. What? We gotta build a wall right here. Put some bricks down.
Prompted the construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961. Dividing friends and families, the wall became a symbol of the Iron Curtain separating Western Europe and the Soviet bloc.
Boys trying to escape.
In the 80s, however, massive protests and waves of refugees leaving East Germany led the government to relax rules for immigration. On the evening of November 9th, 1989, East Germans gathered at the wall.
Elsewhere, they were swarming over the wall, hacking at it with hammers, picks and chisels, clawing at it with bare hands.
Rather than open fire, border guards stood down, and the world watched as Germany became one again.
Hey.
Number 10, the assassination of
JFK
John
in
F.
Dallas,
Kennedy.
Texas.
JFK holds a unique place in political history.
city.
The World War II veteran was the president of the United States during the Cuban
I didn't know
Missile
that boy
Crisis
fought in World War
and
II.
the commencement of the space race.
We go into space because whatever mankind must undertake, free men must fully share.
He was also the first Catholic president and was elected off the back of the first televised presidential debates.
I remember
Yet,
that.
Despite all of this, his time in office lasted less than 3 years before he was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald in Dallas on
Lee Harvey Oswald, quote unquote. But Lee Harvey Oswald was not the only shooter. He was definitely more than one shooter. I seen a TV show about it. He wasn't by himself when it happened. And the CIA ordered the hit of John F. Kennedy.
On November 22nd, 1963. Although the moment itself was caught on camera, the footage was not broadcast live. However, the breaking news was delivered to the American people as events transpired.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
The country went into mourning, and millions watched his funeral on television.
Now,
damn
that he is
president
relieved
got
of the
assassinated.
almost superhuman burden
That almost happened to
we
Trump the other
imposed
day.
on him. May he
This
rest
close.
in peace.
Number 9, the Chernobyl disaster.
Nuclear disaster.
At first, the details of this disaster were shrouded in secrecy.
There has been a nuclear accident in the Soviet Union, and the Soviets have
I bet
admitted
you
that
everybody
it
was like,
happened.
nuclear accident.
Word soon got out. During a safety test on April 26, 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant near Pripyat in Soviet Ukraine went into meltdown. The fault of design flaws and negligent operators.
Oh, they made a movie about this?
The subsequent explosion threw radioactive particles into the atmosphere. It was Sweden who alerted the world 2 days later, when radiation hundreds of miles away set off alarms.
The first word that something was seriously wrong came from this power plant in eastern Sweden, where workers coming on the job
The fact
registered
that
abnormally
Sweden
high
had to
levels of
tell us and not
radiation.
Russia.
The truth was gradually revealed. The scale of the disaster became evident. The meltdown led directly to the deaths of 31 people, and to many more from radiation-induced cancer in the years afterwards. Number 8, the attack
on Pearl Harbor. This is the reason why the United States of America ended up joining World War II. And Japan for sure. Regretted bombing Pearl Harbor. That's all I'm going to say.
It might be known as the Second World War, but for the first few years, the U.S. waited out the conflict raging
chilling
across Europe. That all changed on December 7th, 1941, when Japan launched a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Several ships were sunk, and 188 aircraft destroyed. Over 2,000 sailors were killed.
Y'all want to drag us into this war? Hey, bet. We finna end it. I do not agree dropping it on the goddamn civilians. I do not agree with that. But still, though. Not no split still, but y'all get what I'm trying to say, man.
It was a devastating blow to the United States Pacific Fleet. The following day, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt delivered his famous Day of Infamy speech, and Congress declared war on Japan.
December 7th, 1941.
Watch the movie Pearl Harbor if y'all ain't. Haven't.
A date which will live in infamy.
The Allies' call for the U.S. to join the war had been answered. Number 7, the Hindenburg disaster.
Now, I think,
first
this is why, ain't this the specific incident on why people don't use the little war balloons no more? Not war balloons, the blimps, why people don't use blimps anymore? Because this was used as a mode of transportation before, right, too?
Major disaster caught on camera. This airship accident transfixed and horrified audiences in the late 1930s. On May 6, 1937, the German airship LZ-129 Hindenburg was docking in New Jersey when it caught fire, resulting in 36 fatalities.
It burst into flames. Get it started. It's fighting and it's crashing. It's crashing terrible. Oh my, get out of the way, please.
Watching the airship crash to the ground,
that looks
radio
like
journalist
hell.
Herb Morrison summed it up best with his iconic exclamation.
Oh, the humanity.
Despite the carnage, there were survivors, but they couldn't help establish the cause of the fire, which continues to be debated. Whatever the truth, the effect was the end of Zeppelins as a popular form of air travel.
I told you, they ended that because it looks so, look how flimsy that whole look. I will say, it is definitely look very spacious. It looked way more spacious than the damn plane. But a fucking sheet, it looked like bed sheets over the top of that whole. Caught fire, like the commentator said, oh, the humanity.
Number 6, Victory in Europe Day. After 6 bloody years of battle, the Second World War was finally over in Europe.
Today is Victory in Europe Day.
Berlin had fallen to the Soviet Union's Red Army, and Nazi leader Adolf Hitler had taken his own life. His successor, Admiral Karl Dönitz, authorized Germany's surrender. On May 8, 1945, British Prime Minister authorized Germany in his own life. His successor, Admiral Karl Dönitz.
Imagine Karl Dönitz, the weight that was put on his shoulders to clean up all the mess that man Adolf had bestowed on the whole world, bro. He literally got to be the one. He got to be the punching bag now since Adolf checked out early like a damn coward. Now he got to sit there and take all the punches and get clowned on by the whole world, and the whole world sanction on top of sanction on top of sanction. He just got to sit there and take it.
Authorized Germany's surrender. On May 8, 1945, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill announced victory over fascism, leading to parties on the street in celebration.
Victory Day changes to Victory Night, and the darkening skies over London are lit
they
by
was
the
drinking like a
lights of
motherfucker.
peace. At this great moment in their history, the people of Britain rejoice with their allies in the victory for which every one of them has worked so hard and so long.
Though the effects of the war were still being felt, the jubilation on that day is historic, and several countries still commemorate the date as a public holiday. Number 5, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
I heard about this.
Just 17 years after the Second World War ended, Cold War tensions between the US and Soviet Union almost triggered another one, this time nuclear. In response to the US deploying nuclear missiles in Italy and Turkey, the Soviet Union did the same in Cuba in 1962. Cuba was keen for Soviet help after the US had backed a failed invasion the previous year.
That a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island.
Despite being advised to launch an airstrike and invasion, President John F. Kennedy opted for a more diplomatic approach, a naval quarantine preventing delivery of more missiles.
All ships of any kind bound for Cuba, from whatever nation or port,
is this why they killed him?
Where they found to contain cargoes of offensive weapons be turned back.
After tense talks, Kennedy and Soviet First Secretary Nikita Khrushchev agreed to scale back their...
That boy look like Butterbean. Look at this dude. That boy look like Butterbean. For real, look like he got a mean-ass left hook. That damn crane on his head.
Nuclear missiles. But for just over 1 month, the world stood on the brink of nuclear catastrophe. Number 4, the Apollo
moon
11
landing.
moon landing.
What's gonna be top 3?
It really was one giant leap for mankind. Back in the 1960s, the idea of sending people to the moon still seemed like science fiction.
Yes. You already know my stance on the moon landing.
But, spurred on by the space race between the US and Soviet Union, NASA's Apollo lunar module Eagle touched down on the moon's surface on July 20th, 1969.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Astronaut Neil Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon.
Most popular
and Buzz
astronaut of
Aldrin
all time.
The second. An estimated 650 million Earthlings tuned in to witness the event on TV. Despite all our divisions, in that moment, the world watched together in awe as we achieved something we never thought possible.
And we ain't got no more footage ever. And apparently, bro, like the controversy comes from apparently like the technology to go back to the moon got lost or something like that. I know some people say that, it's nothing up there, so it's no point of going back. But it's like the fact that... Never mind, bro.
One small step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
Number 3. The atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
The Holocaust must be
While
one.
World War II ended in Europe on May 8th, 1945, the Allies continued to fight against Japan. On August 6th, after the Japanese refused to surrender, the United States dropped an atomic bomb known as Fat Man on the Japanese city of Hiroshima.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
3 days later, they dropped a second, known as Little Boy, on Nagasaki. The bombs vaporized many in the blast radius and inflicted radiation burns and sickness on others, killing an estimated 129,000 to 226,000 people, mostly civilians.
100,000, God dang!
To 226,000 people, mostly civilians.
That's a whole generation of people lost. Do y'all realize that? A whole generation. Like, you got Gen Z, you got millennials, you got Gen X, baby boomers, all of that. They lost a whole generation of Gen X or baby boomers or whatever the hell they call that generation. They lost, shit, not even that. Old people, young people, adults, everybody died in that. So it's literally just a whole gap of people that's just lost.
And surrendered on August 15th. Initially, the horrors of the attacks were little reported, but slowly, images and footage began to reveal the hellish consequences of atomic warfare.
It's important, I think, that we understand the misery and terror and death that it caused.
Number 2, 9/11.
9/11. Oh,
Just about
yeah.
everyone who's old enough to
9/11.
remember it can tell you where they were when they heard about the September 11th attacks in 2001.
And we saw the plane on the other side.
And it's so
of the
much
building,
footage.
And there was smoke everywhere.
Because this is like a modern day. It is so much footage. I seen a 9/11 documentary on Hulu. I swear, it's like a new angle every single time. Every single 9/11 anniversary, it is a new angle you see. It is a whole documentary of the firefighters watching a little firefighter vlog, and they see the little plane fly from the ground view, and it is on camera, bro. But you know, it's his own controversy between 9/11 and who really did it, and did George Bush really know? It's a lot of controversy, conspiracy theories about this.
Jumping out the windows.
For New York, it was morning when 2 hijacked passenger jets
people was
crashed into
jumping out
and
the window,
ultimately
bro.
demolished the Twin Towers as part of a coordinated attack. Another plane hit the Pentagon. After news of a 4th crash came to light that day, it became apparent that the passengers of United Airlines Flight 93 took back their flight and downed the weaponized aircraft before it reached Washington, D.C.
You could hear him yelling, "In the cockpit, the cockpit."
The event claimed close to 3,000 lives, and
after this happened, the whole airport process changed. And it had to change across the world too, because word on the street before 9/11, you could just walk in the airport, no security. You just walk and you walk to your gate, give them your ticket, and you own type shit, you know? But after 9/11, all types of protocol. Where are you going? Where are you coming from? You got to go to security. No water in your bags, no snacks. You got to walk through the little screen and all of that, man. So, hey, blame Al Qaeda and Bin Laden in them.
The world was forever changed.
The other trade center's down. It's down. It's down.
That bitch
Before
failed.
we continue, be sure to
see what
subscribe
number
to our
one is.
channel
Is it
and
the
ring
Holocaust?
bell to
Gotta
get
be the
notified
Holocaust.
about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, the
COVID-19. Oh, so they didn't bring up the Holocaust. Okay. I guess they just humped it together with World War II. COVID for sure. This gonna be in our children's textbooks. This was a crazy time. Had to be on lockdown. Had to be inside with our mask on. Boy, we really be living through history,
March 12,
man.
2020, the World Health Organization announced that the COVID-19 outbreak had become a pandemic.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
At the time, few of us fully understood what it would mean for our lives in the years to come.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, the news had people worldwide glued to their screens or running to stock up on groceries, especially toilet paper.
To ensure compliance
People
with
was
the
fighting
government's
over their
instruction
toilet
to
paper.
stay at home, we will immediately close all shops selling non-essential goods.
Through lockdowns, the world watched as the virus continued to dominate headlines, and the death toll skyrocketed from the hundreds into the thousands and then millions. The WHO's announcement was the beginning of a long, rocky road for all of us.
And
Boosters are important.
Controversial.
The most important thing we need to do is get more people vaccinated.
Hey, man. Wise Mojo. Top 30 moments that made the world stand still, man. Y'all know I love history. And we living through history right goddamn now, man. Y'all boys, y'all young boys, pay attention in school, bro. History is very important. Because one thing about history is that history always repeats itself. I'm out.